Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we have a interesting topic today. A topic that we do not talk about a lot, and that is World War II. So today, as you can tell by the thumbnail, we will be talking about the worst tragedies in World War II maritime history, but as well as why World War II was the worst time to be an owner of an ocean liner, basically. And we have, or I should say me, I have quite a few disasters here, and some of you might not even have ever heard of, so hopefully you guys learned something new for this video. Without further ado, I'd like to thank y'all for the support of the last video. Got over 100 and I just came back, so I appreciate that. If you want to go see that video, I think you should do it. I really like the video myself, actually. If you want to know why Titanic was so overpopularized over ships like Queen Mary, for example, go check it out, and it will be in the link in the description. So yeah, and as you guys are wondering, you can't see me because we're going to try something new today, and I'm not going to say it's going to last, but we'll do it every now and then for certain videos. And this is a video where I just think we should only show pictures and videos of the topic we are talking about. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So everyone, we are going to take place between 1940 and 1945. Yes, World War II did begin on August 31st, 1940. No, yeah, it was August 31st and September 31st, one or the other. But 1939 was when it started. But nothing really big happened until 1940 and onward. So we don't have to worry about that. So we'll just talk about 1940 to 1945. Before we get into this video, I should first really lay down what we're talking about. So really, we're going to be talking about three main disasters, and altogether the conflict of World War II by itself and how it affected maritime history. So, before I say this, I really considered World War I as the worst era for ocean liners at first, but then I looked at all the disasters in World War II, and by far, especially with planes now a main thing in World War II, by far World War II is way worse than World War I. So we will be talking about World War II over World War I. Okay, so now we are going to be started in 1940 to 1945, but really before World War II started, we should talk about the innovations from World War I to World War II. World War I was most deadly for maritime history because of battleships and ship conversions into like hospital ships, but also mainly submarines. Submarines, such as German U-boats, were very dangerous and deadly to maritime history in itself because of what they've done over both World Wars, but maritime in World War I because it was the main contributor to the most deaths of ships and people. The Lusitania and the Britannic, which the Britannic sunk by a mine and not a torpedo, but still came from a U-boat nonetheless. So, yeah, those are basically the most dangerous parts of World War I. World War II, however, you see the innovation of planes. You see the innovation of long-range artillery, where they shoot over the water as well. You see battleships are more used. World War I, dreadnoughts instead of battleships, which are way smaller than battleships, really. But my point is, it's way more dangerous for an ocean liner in World War II than it is in World War I. And World War II was also a bigger conflict than World War I. In World War I, Japan and Asia was fighting, but they weren't fighting at the same time. Nothing really happened in Asia. It was mostly just Europe and Africa in World War I. In World War II, you have Asia as well as really all over the world, except maybe South America, which even South America had some problems, but we're not going to be talking about that. The main thing is, planes was the main problem. Planes and U-boats, of course. U-boats now are way more. You had way more from U-boats. You had way more U-boats in World War II than you had in World War I by far. By far. Germany prioritized it by using their Wolfpack tactic, conceived by Karl Dönitz, and this would severely help open supply lines for Germany and the German warfare effort in itself. But the point is, they're also sinking many ships, passenger as well. And Hitler does not care about a single civilian, so he's going to attack civilian ships as well. Anyway, let's get on to our first. We're going to start small and work our way up to the bigger ones. Small tragedies in World War II. You may know, if you guys heard of the SS Bremen. The SS Bremen, if you guys do not know, was a German ocean liner created before World War II in the late 1920s by Germany, and actually held the record of the fastest ship for a long time, along with its sister, the Europa. And the Bremen was the pride of Germany after World War I, after the Treaty of Versailles, and took all their boats away. The Bremen was really what got Germany back on its feet in terms of maritime history. And in World War II, it survived for a little bit. But in between 1943 and 1941, it sank. What happened was the Bremen was coming back from the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union were friends with Germany, but eventually they weren't. And the Bremen was sailing after the Bremen was still a passenger at this vessel at this time, but it came from Germany to the U.S., where it stayed for a little bit. Then it went to the Soviet Union, where it was now stationed there, as the Germans and Soviets were friends at the time. Eventually, they left, got back to Germany, but after that, they were sailing, and it was a huge thing that Bremen even got back after that long voyage. But they were sailing, and eventually, tragedy struck. Now, fair warning for y'all. This is more a tragedy in civilian matters more than war effort, but it still involved Germany either way. So, at this time, on March 19th, correct me if I'm wrong, 1941, the Bremen was docked, and a 15-year-old German boy, who had been actually severely beaten by the officer in charge of him, really was just enraged and really mad, and he saw the Bremen. He lighting fluid and all sorts of equipment, and he set the Bremen on fire. The SS Bremen was it was mostly undercrewed. It was pretty good, just docked there, awaiting for its next orders, and the Bremen was undercrewed. So by the time the crew of the Bremen found out about the fire, it was too late. The Bremen was completely engulfed in flames in a matter of minutes, and the Bremen would later eventually capsize and sink from fire in German port in 1941. So, that's also another reason why the SS United States is so fireproof, because William Francis Gibbs, of course, is watching, and this was, along with the Normandy, we'll get to that in a sec, was a big thing. It's actually funny, because it's not funny, but the SS Normandy also sank by fire. 1943, the SS Normandy was docked in New York, undergoing its ways as the USS Lafayette. And it was in this that the ship was docked and the fire equipment was off. I blame the Americans for sinking the French ship, but it was at this time that the Normandy had caught fire. Now, the fire spread fast. It was kind of slow, but because all the crew members were changing the ship from a passenger ship to a troop ship, they put all the furnishings and flammable stuff in the same room. I don't know what they were thinking, but they did this. And really, it just caught fire, and the Normandy sunk, capsizing, and it was one of the biggest salvations of World War II. Now, with that out the way, we can finally talk about the main topic of the video. So, the first main tragedy of World War II, the first major one, I'll say, occurred in 1940, off the coast of France. Now, at this time, the RMS Lancastria was a British vessel that was originally passenger, and it was, keep in mind, it was very old. It was built back in 1920, all the way back then. And the Lancastria was a canard ship, very old, and at this time, France had just fallen from Germany, and the Lancastria was tasked to take refugees from France back, and British soldiers and French soldiers back to the British mainland. It was at this time that the Lancastria had over 9,000 4,000 passengers speculative. It's not fully sure, but it was way over the capacity. We'll just say that. The Lancastria was not a big ship whatsoever. It was pretty small, and it was not even close to designed for this many passengers. And the Lancastria was, it was not fast. It was also pretty slow. But the point is, like I stated earlier, planes were around, and the Germans had Junkers 88 dive bombers. These Junkers would dive bomb straight down with a terrifying siren noise that would completely just destroy the enemy in whatever way possible or tasked. And this time, the Lancastria was unfortunate to be caught in the sight of a Junker squadron. And in just a few minutes, they completely dive bombed the Lancastria. The Lancastria sank in less than 20 minutes in English Channel. And it's speculated 4,000 to 7,000 people lost their lives in this tragedy. 2,500 were to survive thanks to the Lancastria's lifeboats and whatever little time they had, and the fact that the water was pretty warm in the English Channel, and they were able to survive. But many did not survive just because, for one, the Lancastria sank so fast, and because the initial impact from the bombs to the Lancastria. And it's actually interesting about the Lancastria. I might talk about it in another video by itself, because the story, every ship, by the way, I name in this video, really are probably going to get their own dedicated video, because each one is very interesting. But the Lancastria was actually kept secret from the British people for a long time, because they did not want especially with Britain's dire times, they did not want the Lancastria to really upset the people even more than they already were about the war. So it was kept a secret for a long time, actually. And yeah, so the Lancastria was a very, very bad sinking for the Allies. It was the first major tragedy of the Second World War maritime history. The next tragedy we'll be talking about in World War II occurred on November 7th, 1941. Now, right now, we are going to be talking about the Soviet Union and Germany. So, in November 7th, 1941, a hospital ship called the Armenia was docked in the Black Sea, a part in between the Soviet Union owned a lot of, and it was really engulfed. I'll show you. You can see the map of the Black Sea. I don't know why I'm explaining what it is. But anyway, so the Armenia was a hospital ship, not very fast. Also kind of old like the Lancastria, but not as old. It was built back in 1928. The Lancastria was a cargo passenger vessel, kind of. It wasn't the same as a typical passenger vessel, but it was also not designed for the amount of people it was carrying. So what was happening right now in Europe was Operation Barbarossa, by Germany invading their former ally, the Soviet Union, in the largest land battle in all human history. And Hitler was very ambitious about this. And at the time, Army Group South was attacking the southern parts of the Soviet Union. And this part, Crimea, was where the Armenia was docked. It was at this time that the Armenia was taking loads of refugees from the front line and just wounded soldiers and wounded people from it, and they were going to, sail them away from the front line. And the Armenia was caught the sight of by a German aircraft, and the German aircraft went down and bombed the ship, and the ship was no match, especially moving at only 13 knots max speed. And not to mention, it was still docked trying to get people off. The Armenia stood no choice and sunk right there in the Black Sea, killing. It's not known, but speculated, between 5,000 and 7,000 people. The Armenia is also probably the second most deadly tragedy in World War II by far in maritime history. And it's also probably one that you guys don't know. I didn't even know about it until I started doing the research for this video. This is a ship that will definitely getting its own dedicated video by far. Not even a question. And finally, everyone, we are going to be talking about the third and final tragedy for this video. Now, keep in mind there are way more tragedies in World War II and maritime history. If you guys would like to see a part 2 of this video, let me know in the comments below, and I will be sure to make one. And as well as how this style of making, just seeing pictures and videos and just my voice, let me know what you guys think about it as well. So, in January 30th, 1945, probably the most well-known one on here, the MV Wilhelm Gustloff was a German ship that was docked in East Prussia, a German part of Germany. And keep in mind, the Soviets were winning. This was the final days of the final months of Germany, and Germany could not hold the Russians back. So the Russians got to the front line, and many German soldiers and officers were trying to escape the steamrolling Soviet army, and they made it to the MV Wilhelm Gustloff, which, keep in mind, was designed only to hold, hold a couple thousand people. But it was totaled that the Wilhelm Gustloff carried over 10,000 people at the time of this tragedy. So, the Wilhelm Gustloff was very overcrowded. The docks had over 60,000 people. They had to use force to keep people away from the ship. The ship was extremely overcrowded. So, they eventually, once they got away from the dock and got out to sea, it just didn't work. As soon as the Wilhelm Gustloff got out to sea, after a little bit, just after 9 p.m., a Soviet submarine spotted the ship and fired a couple torpedoes at it, and the Wilhelm Gustloff was no match. The ship started sinking rapidly, and in less than 45 minutes, the Wilhelm Gustloff capsized and was under the waves. It is speculated that over 9,000 people lost their lives in this tragedy. Boy, what does Titanic have on that? That is 3 times the World Trade Center in 2001. It's just mind-blowing that this is really not talked about as much as it should be. Over 9,000 people lost their lives at sea, and only 1,000 survived due to the varying lifeboats that were left after the ship capsized. And it's mind-boggling that this even happened, and really just shows the real brutality and tragedy that is World War II. Alright, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know how this format is working. As well as I said last video when I was talking about streaming, I'm probably going to start streaming on YouTube first, then we'll talk about games. But first we'll start slow and then work our way up, of course. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video a lot. If you want to see a part 2, because there's many other tragedies in World War II. If you want to see a part 2 about it, let me know. Let me know how you like this format of me speaking like this. This is definitely not permanent. I'm definitely going to show my face. So just know that. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss another video. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.